So good morning, welcome to London South Bank. It's a beautiful autumnal day. I'm enjoying watching all the runners go past, all the commuters going to work. I'm here for the Propolis Leaders Forum, which is B2B Marketing's annual event for senior marketers, talking about all the things that senior marketers need to know about how to be a commercial marketer, how to deal with stakeholders, how to continue to evolve your strategy in very, very challenging times. Got a fantastic set of speakers and a great attendee list today. Lots of the big names in B2B marketing from brands across all kinds of spectrums. So I'm really excited to hear what everyone's got to say, what the big issues that are on everyone's minds are right now. So let's go inside and hear what everyone's talking about.
Don't pack the agenda, you'll see that there are not lots and lots of sessions like our big conference.
And I'm here with Andrew from Palo Alto. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Joel. How you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Good to see you on this beautiful sunny day, autumn day. Today's all about the kind of challenges facing leaders, all about AI, as you'd expect, all about economic headwinds, all about kind of what it takes to be a great leader in B2B at the moment. Anything stood out for you in terms of what you've heard, or perhaps what has made you think?
Yeah, I think several things have stood out. Obvious one being AI.
Yep.
I think there's a collective sense of everybody's using it, but there's a degree of experimentation and people still trying to figure out how do we actually quantify the business case, how can we demonstrably show business impact in terms of adoption of these tools, and obviously if we want to build a business case for more of these tools, I think there's still a degree of sort of trial and error going on. Something else that stood out, really interesting around the start, talking about global economy and tariffs and rise of China and all the rest of it. And I think the sheer amount of economic disruption that's happened in the last 5 years, if you think about the two waves of COVID as well, the Ukraine-Russia war. So yeah, really stood out for me that sort of between 1992 and about 2007, there were maybe 3 major economic shocks. And the guy broke it down, we've had about 6 in the last 5 years. So I think the turbulence of the environments we're operating in at the moment is really amplified, and there's no real sign of that slowing down.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And before this conversation, we were talking about AI, and you were saying a little bit of a cynic about this. You know, it's quite hard to embrace all these technologies, and people are, often the board is expecting marketers to do. They're not going to give you more budget. They expect you to just do. It's all about cost cutting. Is that fair?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily an out-and-out cynic, but if I think about, and in fact I'm definitely not a cynic in terms of can AI do amazing things?
Yeah.
Yes. Is it helping us do amazing things? Yes. Are we able to, I saw an amazing video last week that looked really highly produced, and one of our team turned it around in an hour or two at the weekend as an urgent need. But I definitely think there's there's this sort of Gartner hype cycle. And I think, I was just talking to someone, I think there's a big question mark over where does this end. I don't buy into none of us are going to have jobs in 3 years and we'll have all been replaced by bots or whatever. So I think there's, still a degree of how is the sort of symbioticness between humans and AI actually going to pan out? I think that's where I have a big question mark. So I'd say a degree of caution.
Caution seems like the watchword for AI. I think it's a bit like it's never going to be some of the worst perhaps fears and the worst predictions of doom and terror aren't realised, but perhaps we don't necessarily know where it's going. Andrew, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate your thoughts.
You're welcome.
Brilliant. Sorry. So I'm here with Angela from BT. Hi Angela, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you.
We're here at the Propolis Leaders Forum, all about marketing leadership, loads of stimulating presentations and great conversations. Anything stood out for you? Anything surprised you, or perhaps you're going to take away as a question?
I think for me, one of the things that surprised me is that everyone is really focused on what's happening next, what are we going to do in the short term, and it's really interesting because at BT we're really looking at what are we doing long term, what are we going to do from a 3 to 5 year basis? How do we then look at how the industry is working from that perspective, and then focus on our more quarterly type rhythm?
Yeah.
So not so much in the short term, not so much looking at our short-termism, because that's not really how we're going to drive growth and drive business. We really need to look at long-term and focus on that. And I think that it's a slightly different way of looking at things from an overall business perspective that we're seeing at speaking to various leaders here. But I think that it has merit to really, I suppose, understand where you're going as an overall organisation.
I think that's brilliantly put, because everyone's got to think we're in this situation where lots changing. It's a fluid environment, and we have to have a level of agility to respond to those things. At the same time, we can't lose sight of the bigger picture, both from a business strategy perspective, also from a marketing perspective. So I guess the challenge for marketers is one of many challenges, or leaders, is to do both things, think long term, but have the agility. It's like patting your head and rubbing your tummy, isn't it?
Absolutely. And also trying to focus on what it is that you stand for as a business, and hold fast and firm to that, because that's what's going to help you to stand out amongst your competition.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Angela.
You're welcome.
So I'm here with Marta from Ping Identity. Hey, Marta.
Hi, thank you for speaking with me.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Thank you for coming today. It's the Propolis Leaders Forum. It's all about how to be a better leader. Loads of interesting, hopefully interesting subjects, loads of good stuff. Anything stood out for you today? Anything in terms of you learned that was surprised you, or you just thought, oh my goodness, I'm glad everyone said that, or something, perhaps a question you're going to leave with?
Definitely how much B2C and B2C should be similar. You know, the behavior of a human and a buyer. This was something that I was trying to talk to people for a very long time now, and hearing it on the forum across other leaders and everyone kind of nodding, yes, that is true. Amazing. Yeah, I really, really like that session.
And that was the behavioural science stuff, was
yes,
it?
the behavioural science stuff. Yeah.
And there's so many things. Is there anything from that you can take away with you that you can take to your marketing?
Be braver.
Be braver.
Do something fun. Do something exciting. We are marketing to humans and not to robots. So why do we keep B2B boring and kind of very strict? Let's do something emotional. Let's do something fun.
Be emotional. That's the key to B2B marketing.
Yeah.
Marta, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great.
So, yes, under the normal-ish conditions, most people chose...
So it's Tony, isn't it? Sorry, my brain's gone mad. It's Tony. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, okay, right. So here with Tony from IET. And Tony, we're here at the Propolis Leaders Forum, but it's at your venue. This is your HQ.
Yes, this is our home, yeah.
This is so exciting.
It's Savoy Place, Institution of Engineering and Technology, and it's our members' centre, really. So it's great that we've got the Propolis community here.
Well, it's a fantastic venue, right down on the River Thames, right by Embankment, opposite, Westminster that way.
See everything.
Everything.
Yeah, London Eye, you can see all the way to Shard, everything.
And as well as helping us by letting us use your venue, you're an interesting place right now, because today's all about leadership and how CMOs engage with the board and CEOs, and you're actually stepping up right now. Is that right, into the CEO role?
Yeah, well, for the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, so delegated authority, but it's interesting. It's for me, it's about that succession as well, and my role as Chief Engagement and Growth Officer. That's kind of the next thing for me, so it's great. Our chief exec has sunning himself somewhere, and I get him for to be him for 3 weeks.
And so do you think there's stuff that you've learned in that process by dealing with those other stakeholders? Yeah. You always known them before. It's not like you weren't they're alien to you, but you're having to assume a different persona for those moments.
Absolutely, and we're at a really crucial time. So as many businesses, we're in budgeting. We're trying to wrestle with landing in 25, nicely, and making sure we're at the right side of the tracks. 2026 is going to be a real issue, especially with expanding costs, and like many businesses, we're going through transformation. So, for me, it's about in the next 3 weeks how I bring that home.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a massive challenge, and you've got to see that and then see the marketing angle on that one. So,
absolutely.
Well, Tony, I know that I've got faith in you. If anyone can do it, you can do it. So thanks so much for hosting us here today. It's been brilliant.
Oh, really pleased to have you here, Joel.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
So I'm here with Jamie, who's Director of Product Marketing at Adobe, and the Propolis Leaders Forum. Jamie, great to see you. Thanks for coming today.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here.
So you were doing a great panel discussion with Richard, who our CEO, and also Greg, who's an Innovation Disruption Officer at Deloitte, something like that. I probably got that wrong, but something like that. And you talked a bit about, as well as all along the topics of AI, you also were talking about zero-click search. And you had a point that actually in this world of zero-click search, actually trust has become much, much more important. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, I think it's, we're obviously at the early days of how LLMs and whole kind of prompt-based search is really affecting consumer and buyer behavior. But what we've seen certainly is that the data suggests that where AI overview from Google and various other platforms is keeping people on the platform without, and so therefore less clicks going through to to a brand's website or digital presence.
Yeah.
Actually, what people are seeking once they've carried out a prompt, carried out a question to the LLM, is trust and is validation of the responses they're getting returned from the LLM. Now, that may well change over time as we become more confident and comfortable with the outputs from these kind of engines, but certainly now, what we're seeing is the absolute need to have great reviews, to have great presence, have good standing with influencers, all of the kind of third-party validation that creates trust, so that when a consumer, when a user, when a buyer, goes and does a search and finds your brand in a citation or in a list of results within the generative engine, they then can back that up with all of that third-party information, so that trust is created, and that's having a real impact on the user's kind of willingness to then ultimately transact or to interact with the brand directly.
It's kind of like a different burden of proof, isn't it, essentially, that we're asking for in this new world?
Slightly. I think it's maybe just like a reframing or a tilting of the balance slightly, but because a lot of the sort of things that we've been working on as brands for a number of years now, that doesn't change, but you absolutely have to make sure that you have a strong strategy in those areas where people are going to go and look for your brand in reviews, in all of those kind of areas, because they're so important in this kind of new space that we're in.
Fantastic. Jamie, thanks for your thoughts. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure, thank you.
Cheers.
Came last and probably saw the transformation juggernaut coming towards them.
So I'm here with Scott Stockwell, and we're right at the end of the B2B Propolis Leaders Forum. It's been a really good day.
It's been an excellent day. Yep.
And you're here because in your capacity is one of the experts in Propolis, and so you've been helping moderate tables and part of the conversation. Loads of big themes coming out. Anything stood out for you particularly? There's so much to go at, isn't there?
I think the thing that stands out is when the only constant is change, the things that you've done constantly are actually the things that guide you through. So themes like dedicating time for training and sort of self-development. There's a lot of change. We know AI is happening everywhere, and it's who's doing it, who's trialing it, who's implementing it, who's making a difference, is there any ROI from it? What's consistent across everybody is they're dedicating some time to learn, to understand and reflect. And I think if you're not taking that time, it's very easy to be all the gear, no idea, rush in with the new tech, it's a new sparkly thing, marketers love sparkly things. Is it in service of your customers? Is it delivering your strategy? And I think that came out, I moderated 3 different tables today, all 3 tables, that was very consistent.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? That's a really considered perspective, because we're all rushing around a little bit like headless chickens. There's so much stuff going on, but we need that kind of core to move us to the next thing. And I feel quite positive after today. I think there's there's a very lot of challenges around, but I feel like markets are in a good place, and perhaps it's not as apocalyptic as we might have thought it was.
No, I think when sort of Gen AI came out, everything was a little bit, the robot's going to take your job, you're going to be, remissioned, it's all going to be, a bit Terminator. The colour went from being kind of headache grey to optimistic pastel blue, I would say.
I like that. Colourways in B2B markets always.
You've got to have a way of thinking about it that everyone's just, we're all going to feel better in pastel blue than we were in headache grey.
I love it. So here we go, pastel blue. Scott, thanks so much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Great stuff.